help memorialize three great people: Mr. Peter Mann, Coach Sean King, and Catherine Kristen Murray. When Ms. Pisagno asked me to speak in honor of Katie, I have to admit I was a little bit apprehensive. The thought of Katie always brings a tear to my eye. I miss her every single day, and the thought of coming up here and speaking in front of all of you would be way too difficult for me. After a lot of deliberation, I realized that this speech is not supposed to be a sad speech. Today is about memorializing the amazing life that was Katie Murray's. Today is a day to remember the beautiful girl with an equally beautiful smile that can light up any room. Today is a day to think back upon the girl who was always a dynamic presence in the classroom, and the girl who could bring a smile to anyone's face just by being her. The most memorable thing I remember about Katie was the day I was observed by one of our vice principals. My classes were preparing skits to perform in front of our class. It wasn't until after Katie's death the vice principal revealed in his post-observation report that he had overheard a student say, "We got this, we're so going to get an A." He was unsure which student said those words, but I had my suspicions. Sure enough, after asking her roommates, my suspicions were confirmed. Katie was so confident in every teacher's dream student. I could talk on and on and on about what a great student Katie Murray was, but everybody already knows that. Instead, what I've decided to do here today is ask some of Katie's friends for their happiest memories of Katie. Here's what some of them had to say. Lauren Newman said, "I remember last year in Spanish when Katie and I were partners for everything, and Mrs. Posey's teacher's pet. We used to text each other on Saturday nights about homework we were doing and how we were losers for doing homework on a Saturday night. We always went back and forth saying we both take AP Spanish together, but not by ourselves, because we wanted to be able to help each other. We named her car Natalia because that was her Spanish name in Mrs. Posey's class, and my car was her boyfriend, Fernando, because we parked next to each other. Even when she wasn't in the best mood or feeling great, she helped anyone that asked, or even looked like they needed a little help. She was my little Spanish dictionary. I'll never forget our little lunch dates after school, being in homeroom together, parking in locker buddies, her smile, and all the stories she told me in Spanish. I even remember when she got nervous about the piano recital, which was really weird because she never got nervous about anything." Christina Newman says, "Katie got her first spray tan last year and was so excited. She loved her orange hands." Laura Montgomery says, "After having the honor of going to school with Katie for almost 11 years, there are abundance of memories I could pick from. But I must say my favorite one is from the 3rd grade. At A&S, we had the cherished no uniform days, and on one of them, for Lord knows what reason, Katie and I thought it would be cute to wear striped corduroys that now I look back on were pretty atrocious. But anyways, while we were at lunch that day, one of the boys in our grade thought it would be funny to put mayonnaise on our seats. As I began to freak out and probably cry, Katie just laughed hysterically, dragging me to the bathroom, assuring me she would take care of it and smack the boy once we got back. Her ability to take any situation and make someone smile was something I admired and cherished in her as a friend. It is memories like these, which there are many of, which get me through the times in which I become sad about Katie not being here, for I remember that I had the great privilege of experiencing it all." Miss Van Gel says, "If I could say one thing, I would say that I just miss her. I miss her running through the social studies department on her way to class. I miss her sticking her head in my room just to say hi. I miss her stopping by to talk about whatever was on her mind. She was a light in life, and now life is a little darker because she's gone. Some days I still expect to see her, and then I remember, and I get sad. Katie will never be forgotten because the impact her life and her character made on our lives has left an imprint on our hearts." Katie Miles says, "I will never forget Katie yelling, 'Pregunta, pregunta,' and calling foul on Miss Polsky." And on a side note, I wanted to say that the last 2 put-ups that I gave Katie in my class were really good ones. Katie or City says, "Katie was and will always be a good friend of mine. We used to sing the oldest songs and just make complete use of ourselves. I know I could trust her and she would always be there when I needed her. I never even imagined losing someone so close, but I know she's going to be with me forever, and I'll see her later." Raheem Edelin says, "When I first met Katie, we instantly clicked, and I thought to myself, why can't more people be like her?" Mr. Anthony said, My happiest memory of Katie is my first memory of her. Katie, Ellie, and Sydney came into Unique Sports Academy and enrolled in my tumbling class. Katie was working on her round-off, backhand, straight tuck, and I have no idea what that is. You had to help me practice saying that. I knew within a few minutes of class that she was very talented. What I like about this memory is Katie got to know me not as Mr. Anthony, but as a teacher, but as Coach Nick. Cheyenne Goldsmith said, "I have so many memories from being blessed with growing up and going to school with Katie since we started kindergarten at A&S. But I know that one of my personal favorites was freshman year. We had English and LSN together. Katie would always make every class a joy. One day in LSN, we were taking notes off the smoreboard. I honestly forget what we were learning about that day. I think it had something to do with government finances. But I asked Katie, what does that money sign mean? Katie just started laughing. I quickly realized what I had said and started laughing with her. It quickly became an inside joke between the two of us. She wrote about it in my yearbook, and we still talked about it all the time. Whenever I see a money sign, it makes me think of Katie. Mrs. Agnew says, I'll never forget during Katie's sophomore year, she popped her head into my classroom each and every day to ask for candy on her way to Mr. King's class. Marie Vandervliet says, the other day I found a video of us on my old phone. It was me, Katie, Jenna, and Michelle at Jenna's 16th birthday party. And although Katie had a broken foot, she still wanted us to basket toss her in the air in the pool. I watched it over 100 times just to hear her voice. Sarah Bowley says, Spanish class will never be the same again. I don't know how I'm ever going to remember to do a robo assignment again since I texted her every time to see which ones to do. Morgan Schrapp says, Katie was my partner in crime. I will never forget when we pretended to steal Stefan's car and were screaming, floor it, out the window. And later on, Morgan went on to tell me she had no idea how to drive a stick shift, so that didn't work out too well. Kristen Petty says, when I think of cheerleading, I always think of Katie. We were the best build group ever. She always flew so high, and now she's flying high in heaven, looking down on all of us. Jure for forever in my heart. Kelly Johnson says, I was writing my English paper, and it had to be double-spaced. I can't help but think about how in 7th grade, Katie thought that meant you had to have 2 spaces between each word. We all laughed so hard while she thought it was such a logical thing to do. Alyssa Burton says, around the time of our birthdays last year, which were 7 days apart, we had a huge countdown together. We were so excited to turn 16. We'd always joke and laugh about it in class together. It was never a dull moment. And finally, Christy and Steve Murray say, Katie was an amazing young woman. Her sparkling personality and wonderful smile made it impossible not to like her. She had many friends and many people came to her for advice and a different outlook regarding their problems. This was because she always saw the positive, even in a bad situation. Her ability to make people smile and laugh was a true gift. Katie Murray affected so many people in her short time here on earth. Although she's gone, she will never be forgotten. She inspires and will continue to inspire so many people as long as her memory lives on. She continues to watch over us. Those purple skies are there for a reason. Whenever you see a purple sky, or a rainbow, or purple wildflowers growing in the bushes, those are signs that Katie is looking down over you. She's watching her friends, and most importantly, she's watching over her loving family. These tears we cry won't bring her back, but her memories will allow her to live on in the hearts of those she touched. Thank you.